Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about multiplicative comparisons and factors. So the first thing we're going to talk about is comparing fractions or ratios. So that's greater than, less than, or equal to, and these are our symbols. These should be familiar to you. It says when we are deciding if two ratios, which can also be written like fractions, are equivalent, so if they're the same, we need to use the butterfly method. You should have already been taught butterfly, but we're going to review it. So it says we're going to compare the following fractions with our symbols. So the way butterfly works is we go corner to corner, okay? And this is only if we're trying to see which one is bigger. So I would circle my 8 and my 5, and just like on proportions, I'm going to multiply those two. 8 times 5 is 40, and our answers go at the top. Always go at the top. And then I'm going to multiply 3 times 15, which is 45. So which one is bigger, 45 or 40? We know the 45 is bigger, so we put our symbol, the alligator eats the bigger number, so it needs to face the bigger number. So 3/5 is bigger than 8 over 15. Let's look at our next one, same thing. We're gonna go across. We do our 7 and our 2, and again, we are multiplying, that's 14. Answer goes at the top. Then we do our other two numbers, 1 and 14. 1 times 14 is 14. So look at our answers, 14 and 14. Those are the same. So these are equivalent ratios or equivalent fractions. My third one, I do 5 times 16. So I need to do 16 times 5. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 1 plus 3 is 8. So my answer is 80. And again, answers always go at the top corner. 10 times 7 is 70. 80 is bigger, so my 5/7 is bigger than 10 over 16. And again, we just need to remember that a ratio of 4 to 6 is not the same as 6 to 4. Order matters. We cannot switch the order. So we got to keep that in mind. The next thing we're going to talk about is how to use that in a word problem. So it says an artist mixed 2 scoops of blue paint and 3 scoops of red paint to make purple. If the artist decided to make more purple paint in a larger batch, which ratio below would be equivalent to the ratio of blue paint to red paint? So there's a few things we need to look at. First, it says ratio. If we see the word ratio, that's a key word. We know we are working with the ratio. Next, I need to find, it says blue to red. Order matters. So how much blue did I have? It said I had 2 blue. So I'm going to write 2 because I have 2 blue. And then red was 3 red. So I had 3. The way we're going to compare, because I have the ratio 2 to 3, to see if this is the same as this, I'm going to write 2 to 3 under all of my ratios. There's one that I automatically see that I can mark out, and it's this right here. We just talked about, can we switch the order? No. So if it has, this is our trick answer. You always need to mark this one out first because we cannot switch. That is wrong. Our answer cannot be B. We cannot switch the order. The rest of them, we are going to butterfly. So we take our 2 and our 5, our 2 and our 15, and that is 30. And then we do our 2 and our 12 and our 3, and that is 36. Answers always go to the top. Those are not the same. A is not correct. I need to do 2 times 27, which is 54. 18 times 3, which is 54. Those are equivalent. That should be our answer. Let's just double check. 9 times 2 is 18, and 5 times 3 is 15. So those are not correct. It cannot be D. Our answer is C. All right, example number 2. The Brady family decides to take a road trip. They drive 28 miles every 2 gallons of gas. Which table shows the possible values of M, the number of miles, and G, the gallons of gas? So when we have a table like this, and it wants to know if we have 28 miles in 2 gallons, which could be a possible value. We are going to look at the first 2 rows, and it's just the same. This is a fraction, and these are fractions. So to compare them, we can butterfly. So I need to do 66 times 2 times 2. So that would be 12, 13. So that would be 132. And 28 times 4. That would be 32, 8, 9, 10, 11. That would be 112. So those are not the same. So we need to go to the next one. We do 42 times 2, which is 84. And 28 times 3, which is 84. Those are equivalent. So this one is our answer. So when we have a table, we need to butterfly to see if they're equivalent, if it's asking possible values. Now we're going to move on to factors, okay? Factor is a big key word. That's a good vocabulary word for us. Factor is just a number you are multiplying. So when we see factor, we need to say, okay, we are doing multiplication. Multiplication. So it says the list shows the number of push-ups Coach Campbell can do each day for 5 consecutive days. So we have a list: 20, 60, 180, 540, 1,620. By what factor did the number change each day from the first to the last? So when we say factor, it means multiplying. So it's saying from 20 to 60, what number are we multiplying by? From 60, what are we multiplying 60 by to get 180? 180 times what gives me 540. 540 times what gives me 1,620. If you don't know what 620 times what gives me 60, you can do division. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I would do 60 divided by 20. I have common zeros, so that's the same thing as 6 divided by 2, which is 3. So 20 times 3 does give me 60. 60 times 3 does give me 180. 180 times 3 does give me 540. And 540 times 3 does give me 1,620. So the factor it is changing by is 3. Factor just means what are you multiplying by? All right, the next one. The list shows the amount of time Sammy practiced the violin for 5 days. By what factor did the minutes he practiced each day change from the first to last? So again, factor means we are multiplying. So 5 times what gives me 20? 20 times what gives me 80? 80 times what gives me 320? 320 times what gives me 1,280? So 20 divided by 5 is 4. So, and then 20 times 4 does give me 80. So my factor there is 4. And again, if you don't remember, if you don't know that off the top of your head, you can do 20 divided by 5, which is 4. All right, last one is talking about multiples. So multiples is like skip counting. So the multiples of 4 is like counting by 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. And then we do 12. 16, 20. Multiples just means skip counting. We can use multiples to determine possible answers or equivalent ratios, okay? So it asks for an equivalent ratio, we can use multiples. A grocery store placed only loaves of wheat and white bread on the shelf. The ratio of the number of loaves of white to the total loaves on the shelf was 9 to 20. Which number could be the number of loaves of wheat bread on the shelf? So it gives me a ratio of 9 to 20, and it says that is white to total. So I have white bread, I have wheat, and I have my total. Again, it told me white was the first word, so it goes with the first number. So I have 9 white, and the total is 20. So if I have white and 20 total, I would have to subtract to get my wheat. So 20 minus 9 gives me 11. And then it says we need to determine the amount of wheat is 11. So the multiples of 11 are 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, so on and so forth. And then we just match our answer. So 29 is not here, 33 is, 18 is not, 40 is not. So that's how we get the answer to that one.